The Marianne, a stout little Lake Michigan ferry, shuddered as Captain Elias Vance eased back on the throttle. The familiar thrum of the diesel engine subsided into a throaty grumble, then a sigh, leaving behind a profound silence that rushed in to fill the wheelhouse. Outside, the vast expanse of Lake Michigan stretched towards a horizon bleeding, the last embers of sunset molten orange yielding to bruised purple. Ahead, precisely where his weathered charts and decades of instinct placed it, lay the sheltered lee of Fisherman's Island, his chosen anchorage for the night. Great Lakes Ferryman's Rest. Anchors ready, Cap. Arlo's voice crackled over the intercom from the foredeck below. Elias grunted in acknowledgement, his eyes fixed on the deepening twilight. Moonrise was coming. Sensory pause 1. Sound the wave lullaby begins as the Marianne lost way, gliding silently now except for the soft shush-shush against her hull. A new sound emerged. It wasn't the open lake roar of afternoon chalk, nor the frantic slapping of waves against a pier. This was a gentle, rhythmic ca-thump, ca-thump, ca-thump. Water, displaced by the slowing hull, rolled outwards in smooth, low swells. These swells met the anchored stillness around them, rebounding softly against the Marianne's flanks. The sound was deep, resonant, a bass note played on a liquid drum. Ca-thump, ca-thump. It pulsed through the deck plates, vibrated faintly in Elias's bones where he stood at the helm. It was the lake exhaling, a lullaby composed of pure, ancient motion. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the rhythm wash over him, a familiar comfort after a long day navigating the busy straits. Let her go, Arlo, Elias commanded, his voice low, almost reverent in the new quiet. The clank and rattle of heavy chain roaring through the hawse-pipe shattered the watery hush momentarily. Then came the deep, guttural splash gurgle as the anchor bit into the lakebed far below. The chain ran out, its metallic song echoing, then settled into taut silence. The Marianne swung gently into the wind, finding her balance point. Elias felt the subtle shift through the soles of his boots, the transition from purposeful travel to peaceful suspension. He stepped out onto the portside wing deck. The air, cooled rapidly by the immense, darkening water, carried the clean, mineral scent of deep lake, undercut by a hint of wet rope and diesel from the engine room vents. It was bracing, clearing the fatigue from his mind. Sensory pause 2. Sound in sight, the bell buoy's lonely chimothan, from the darkness beginning to coalesce over the open water beyond the island's protective curve. It came, a single, resonant bong, clear, cold, melancholic. A pause, then again, bong. The bell buoy marking the reef off Point Betsy, over a mile away. Its sound carried perfectly across the still water, a lonely, metallic heartbeat in the gathering night. Elias scanned the gloom, pinpointing the tiny, bobbing light, a faint, rhythmic wink of red. Bong. Each chime hung in the air, seeming to amplify the stillness it interrupted. It was a sound of warning, yes, but out here, anchored safely, it felt like a companionable signal, a distant lighthouse keeper calling across the miles. He leaned against the cold rail, listening, watching the red-eye wink in time with its mournful song, a counterpoint to the softer ca-thump of the waves against his own hull. The eastern sky began to glow with a soft, pearly luminescence. Elias watched, breath catching slightly, as the first perfect curve of the moon breached the horizon line. Not the pale wafer of winter, but the heavy, golden coin of a Great Lakes summer moon. It rose with improbable speed, shedding its orange blush, and turning the surface of the lake into a rippling highway of molten silver. The path of light stretched unbroken from the horizon directly towards the Marianne, bathing her decks in an ethereal glow. Sensory pause 3. Touch water-cooled decks needing to feel the night. Elias descended the metal ladder to the main deck. His boots landed on the worn teak planking near the stern. The difference was immediate. After hours under the sun, radiating absorbed heat, even now, the deck near the cabins was still faintly warm. But here, near the stern where spray constantly kissed the wood. The deck was deliciously cool. He knelt, placing his palm flat against the smooth, damp surface. It wasn't cold, but deeply cool, like stone in a shaded forest. The dampness seeped into his calloused skin, a grounding, physical connection to the immense, cool body of water beneath them. He could feel the faint vibration of the waves translated through the planks, a gentle thrumming against his palm, a tactile echo of the ca-thump he heard. He ran his hand along the rail, also cool and beaded with condensation. The contrast with the day's heat, still clinging to the superstructure, was profound. This was the lake's touch, claiming its own back in the darkness. Standing, he walked the perimeter. The moonlight painted everything in stark monochrome, the black shadows of coiled ropes, the brilliant silver highlights on winches and vents, the ghostly outline of the lifeboat davits. The ca-thump of the waves was softer here, cushioned by the island. The bell buoy's bong seemed slightly farther away. Overhead, stars began to prick through the velvet sky, undimmed by city lights. The vastness was humbling, a reminder of his smallness on this inland sea. He climbed back to the wheelhouse, brewing a pot of strong black coffee in the small galley nook. The familiar aroma mingled with the night air. He took his chipped mug out onto the wing deck again. The moon was high now, smaller, brighter, wider, its path a shimmering, shifting ribbon on the water. The Marianne lay tranquil in its embrace, sensory. Pause for its sound in motion, the cradle's embers finishing his coffee. Elias secured the wheelhouse. His footsteps echoed lightly on the metal stairs as he headed towards his small cabin amidships. Inside, he shed his jacket and cap. The familiar sounds of the anchored ship surrounded him, the almost imperceptible creak of a timber, the soft groan of a taut line, the persistent, gentle ca-thump against the hull, now muffled by the cabin walls to a soothing murmur. But it was the motion he focused on as he sat on his bunk to pull off his boots, not the sharp pitching of a head sea, nor the uncomfortable rolling of a beam wind. This was different, a slow, rhythmic, side-to-side sway, gentle, insistent, unhurried. He lay back on the thin mattress. The sway deepened, forward, pause, back, pause, forward. It was a perfect, metronomic rocking. The Marianne, held fast by her anchor yet cradled by the deep water in the island's lee, moved with the lake's nocturnal breath. The ca-thump of the waves was the rhythm, the bell buoy's distant bong the chime, the cool memory of the deck. Beneath his palm the lullaby's refrain. The moonlight, filtering through the porthole, painted a liquid rectangle on the opposite wall, shimmering with each gentle roll. Elias closed his eyes. The motion was primal, comforting. It spoke of safety, of shelter found. It reminded him of being a child, rocked in his grandfather's arms on a porch swing overlooking this very lake. Forward, pause, back, pause. The stresses of the day, the tight schedules, the demanding passengers, the watchful eye on. Weather and traffic dissolved. The coolness of the night seeped into the cabin. The lake's lullaby, composed of wave, bell, and the soft complaint of timber, filled the quiet space. Forward, pause, back, pause. He didn't fight it. He let the rhythm take him. The Marianne becoming more than a ship, she was a cradle, vast and sturdy, held in the immense, gentle hands of Lake Michigan, rocked by the moon-pulled water, soothed by the waves' deep song and the buoy's far-off chime. Captain Elias Vance drifted, safe within Ferryman's rest. Forward, pause, back, pause. The cradle rocked on, into the heart of the moonlit night.